Well, guys, I woke up, I started watching my early morning YouTube, and I was watching the movie for what I'm going to go cover today. I've seen it before, and I love the movie in a weird way. I think it's like kind of a badly acted movie, but in some parts, but or it's just that style of filmmaking, but I really wanted to go see this place because when I first moved out here, I just wandered by it, and I never knew anything about it, and then when I started reading about it, it's really fascinating. So me and the buddy are just hanging out, and you know, he's such an actor because he doesn't do any of it. Well, sometimes he does it when I first wake up, but once I'm already awake, he doesn't do this stuff unless I turn the camera on. He's a ham. A total ham. But he's the best dog in the world. Totally. I don't know why, but people seem to love you. They love that face. It rained all night, well, all evening and all night, and then all morning. And it finally let up about a half an hour ago, so I'm gonna see if I can't go run and do the vlog. Something I've been wanting to do for about a week now, and it's relatively close by, and just something always keeps popping up, or it rains. But I think I'm gonna go today, and I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed and see if maybe I can't get in. I know it's a private place and all, but I've been having really good luck, so I'm hoping that maybe I can find somebody that lives there, explain to them what I want to do, and maybe they'll let me do it. You know, as crazy as it sounds, doing this vlog has kind of restored my faith in people because I'm constantly amazed when I want to do something that I know is considered off limits or trespassing or whatever. When I tell these people what I want to do, instead of automatically turning it down in the name of law, they actually are willing to help me out. Well, I decided for part of our walk, I just cut through Whitley Heights to get to where we're going today. And it's a steep one. I also decided to not use my wide angle lens today and see what it looks like. There's the house I've shown you guys before that I want to buy someday. Or, you know, highly doubt that's ever going to happen, but I'd love to. I'd repaint it. Do something with all that empty space in the front here, but I love it. My own Graceland. My own Lion's Den. There's the Hollywood sign and the Whitley Terrace steps. I'm going to take those. Since it's briefly stopped raining and the sky is all hazy, I figure I might as well do. That's actually why I took Whitley Heights. I could have taken an easier route, but figured might as well walk through the hills and then take these stairs. I'm super excited where we're going today, guys. There's so much to tell you about this place. So much. I mean, and it's, like I said, it's one of those places that when I went out for a walk, when I first kind of moved to Hollywood, I walked past and I was always like, that's pretty interesting. I wonder what's up with that. And until I started doing the vlog, I never really looked into that much. Now, if I happened to find somebody famous's address and I could look it up and then I figured it out that way, I'd do that. But I never just typed in the address to something and then decided to explore the history like I do now. So that was definitely a plus to starting the vlog. We're pretty much to the end of the stairs, but you see that little road? It looks like a road winding up. Okay, that's Highland, the street right down here. And right up here, right up this little ramp, that little thing, that's actually where the park was where I did my top 10 list vlog that day. If anybody was ever curious, it's up there. Check out that interesting house. We're just about there. Actually, we are there. If you're wondering what the vlog is today, because we're on a sidewalk right now, Hightower Drive. Hightower Drive is where
the Hollywood High Tower is located. Right here. It's the long goodbye, and it happens every day. It's the long goodbye. That's right. Robert Altman's movie, The Long Goodbye, starring Elliot Gould, was filmed here. There's a really good reason it was filmed here. Let me tell you and show you. Where we see Terry, a friend of Detective Philip Marlowe, he comes flying around this corner and goes flying up there to visit Philip Marlowe to tell him he's got to drive him to Tijuana. And the only explanation he gives is, my Wi-Fi, it's over. So let's go take a look. Now the reason the movie was shot here is plain and simple. This has been, well, basically a living area and an apartment for writers of all sorts, an artistic colony. Michael Conley wrote 2 of his novels here in the 90s, but more notably Raymond Chandler. Raymond Chandler lived in this building and he wrote The Long Goodbye, Dead Again, and The High Window. And that big tower, that's actually an elevator that goes all the way up. Now, you can see the very top, there's some apartments that kind of shoot off in either direction. Very top floor, off to the left, is where the girls that were making the pop brownies that wanted him to pick up brownie mix, that's where they were staying.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe.
Crazy girls.
Mr. Marlowe, are you going by the store?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and pick up a couple of cans of cat food.
And off to the right over in here, that's where Philip Marlowe and his picky cat lived.
Cat gets me at 3 o'clock in the morning to get him a special kind of food. I gotta be out of my fucking mind. Boy, that cockamamie cat.
Mr. Marlowe? Oh.
And boy, do I understand that. His cat would only eat Corey cat food, and Jaw's pretty much the same way. He'll only eat Caesar. So, since the books were written here, based off of Living Here by Raymond Chandler, and a little side note, Raymond Chandler makes a little cameo in Double Indemnity with his trademark pipe, Sherlock Holmes pipe. If you go back and rewatch Double Indemnity, you'll see it. But, yeah, not only did Raymond Chandler live here, and that's where the stories were written, that's where they decided to film the movie, but Kurt Cobain actually lived here as well. When, well, basically what happened was Kurt was living down on kind of the Melrose Fairfax area where Cantor's is, but he had gotten enough parking tickets to where he couldn't drive anymore. So he lost his license. Courtney had never learned how to drive, so they only lived there for a short time before moving into a Holiday Inn. And then they ended up moving here. And they moved here right when Frances Bean was born. And actually this became, well, a point of interest because right around that same time is when they did that Spin magazine article talking about the drug use, and Frances Bean was actually taken away out of their custody for quite a while. Not a great amount of time, but long enough. This is also where they say that Kurt Cobain wrote most of In Utero. And Kurt and Courtney shared this place with, I guess it wasn't technically an apartment, it was more of a bungalow. They shared it with Patty Schemmel, the drummer of Hole. And they lived here throughout the time that he was writing In Utero. Now, one of the interesting things about that is you think Michael Conley, Raymond Chandler, Kurt Cobain, there's definitely got to be something to living here, the spirit here, something about it. But one of the things that you'll also see in the movie of The Long Goodbye is you'll see from that very top where I told you their apartment was, you'll actually see, looking down, after he drives into Tijuana, you see Philip Marlowe's car come and park right in front of these 3 garage doors. Now this is actually, people live here, and from what I could find out online, it's pretty private, but you can actually rent a room here. It's $250 a night, but you have to do at least 3 nights. And what I would love to do is love to see somebody coming and going and talk them into letting me just ride the elevator up and back down so I can show you guys the experience. But I kind of doubt that's going to happen, because this kind of strikes me as the kind of place that everybody drives to. If you'll notice, there's not a whole lot of parking. Only one side of the street you can park on, so right here is where Philip Marlowe would have had his car parked. That classic car. And right in here is where all the magic of the movie, for the most part, happens. Now the address here is actually 2178 Hightower. And Kurt's address was 6881 Alta Loma, so it wasn't the same address, but it's all part of the same thing. So I'm going to actually see if there's any possible way to find his address via a walking path, because there's actually a little staircase pretty close to here, and see if maybe that'll take me to it. I'm going to see where this goes. I don't really have a clue, but let's go see. No trespassing. I don't think that means the walkway, since it branches off into numerous staircases. So this is what it looks like without the wide angle lens when I do a selfie, guys. I think I might be kind of in luck, because I'm looking at the map, and you can't drive to where Kurt Cobain lived, but it looks like he actually lived in the same housing community that my friend Sam Tripoli lives in. Sam just has some monster stairs, but his address is pretty close, and it's on the same street as Kurt Cobain's was, so I think it's very possible if I just keep following his stairs all the way up, I might be able to see it. I keep walking around until I hit dead ends, and even through Sam's area I'm hitting a dead end. I'm looking for 6881, and that's as far as it goes up here, so I'm gonna have to take another staircase, and I'm gonna keep going until I find this house. I'm telling you, I'm not giving up now. Now I went too far to give up. There's actually another staircase right over here. I'm gonna take this one, see? Nice bench.
Yep.
Yeah, see, the addresses are going down, so I'm gonna have to walk all the way up this one street, a couple of streets over, to find it. But I think at this point it's worth it, don't you? See, I think it actually is. I think it's right above. I think they were absolutely right. It's right above the tower. And maybe the parking was in there. I don't know. I'm back to this spot again. And I actually think I should have went up here. I think this greenhouse up here is it. No wonder it was so hard to find. It's a hidden, kind of a hidden address, because this little walkway I'm taking is not called Alta Loma Terrace. But whoa, I've gotten closer to the top of the high tower. That's pretty cool. See, I think this was it. When Eric showed me the house, it was a green house. And I think it might be up there. I don't know, let's keep looking. Oh, cool. Look at this little overlook. Beautiful. Wow. I just found this. This is the house that Eric told me it was. Let me keep going, see if I can find anything beyond this. That's a different address though. So let's see. But you know what? We actually, this roundabout way, and I think this is how I found it. That's why I was surprised it was closed, because I remember wandering up here one time and finding this. And I think when I came up here before, that's why I was like, oh, it looks like you should be able to get in there or something. That's actually like a utility. I can tell by looking at it. There's no way to get in there. Oh wow, this was it. Wow, this is it. This is where Philip Marlowe would come out of that elevator. You could see that street below, and right over here, 2181, that's where the girls that he was buying the brownies were living.
Mr. Marlowe, did you get the brownie mix?
Uh-huh. Regular and one the brownie mixed with a double fudge of Brady Crocker.
Fantastic.
Night, girls.
How much do we owe you?
Oh, that's okay. Just put her on the bill.
Thanks.
They go, you're the best neighbor we ever had, Mr. Marlowe. And right here would have been Philip Marlowe's apartment.
But if you want to make me a couple of Yankee Doodles. So beautiful.
Wow. And hopefully this is Kurt's place. 2181 is what we're looking for. No? Sorry this is taking so long, guys, but I feel like it's worth it. And since these are all staircases, I don't think I'm trespassing. Here's the outside of Philip Marlowe's apartment. Wow. Well, I actually made it up here. I can't believe it. Okay. Oh, we're close. We're close. We're looking for 6881. Man, oh gosh. This was really hard to find. Really hard to find. Nope. We're close, we're close, we're close. We're so close. 6881, this has to be it. There it is. Wow. That's where Kurt Cobain and Courtney lived. Wow. Yeah, definitely not an apartment. That's more like an old farmhouse, actually. Let me see if coming over here I can get any kind of a better view for you. Honestly, that doesn't look like anybody's living there. No, that's empty. Wow, this place is empty. Go figure. Somebody's broken down the door. I wonder if they had squatters. So think of this. Kurt Cobain walking out here, walking around, literally right on top of the Hollywood Hills. And, wow. Just out here riding. That's why nobody's living here. Look at that. It's dilapidated. All these have been broke, so since nobody's living here. So it looks like one side of the house, this would have been the opposite side of the house, and he would have lived on the other side. But it looks like nobody's living in either one. They don't look like they're livable. So, yeah, he wouldn't have lived on this side. He would have actually lived on this side. Wow. Kurt's mailbox, Kurt's door. Wow. I just have to show what the front door looks like. Yeah, that's uninhabitable. Wow, guys, I honest to God can't believe that I am standing in front of the house that Kurt Cobain wrote In Utero in. Look at that.
I lived in the guest room, and there was like a bathroom separating us, and there was this closet, and that's where Kurt wrote, I think, pretty much all of In Utero in that closet. He would just sit in there and play a guitar and sit on like a Fender twin reverb.
Such a classic album, and like I said, this is where he moved to. He could hear the Hollywood Bowl from here. This is where he moved to when Frances Bean was born. And this is where Frances Bean was taken away, and they eventually did get her back. And there's actually a documentary. If you go watch it, a lot of the footage is from inside this house. So rest in peace, Kurt Cobain. This is where he wrote In Utero, or at least a bulk of it. I think I'm going to take a little memento. I'm going to take a little piece of that. Right up here is where I just walked down. So that leads me to believe, because of how convoluted the walk was to get up here, this is probably the way that he took every time. So let's go ahead and take the walk down where Kurt Cobain would have walked down every time he left, because that was a pretty long route up here, and I don't think that he was taking that one. That's super crazy. I actually walked in like 2 big giant circles to find this, only to find out that every time that I've come over to hang out with Sam Tripoli, or brought Jaw over here, that I was walking up the same stairs Kurt Cobain walked up. Holy Moses, history is amazing. See, right there's the address for Kurt's house, and right up there, that's where Kurt lived. On the right side of the house. It technically would have been a duplex, but look at that. You can see his house, and let me blow your mind a little bit. You know what his house is overlooking? I know I already told you guys, but if you spin it around, it's the Hollywood Bowl right there. Right here. That's all the Hollywood Bowl. Trees in the way, but... So, he actually would have been able to sit right out there. See that? Right out there on that balcony. And he could have listened to anybody that was playing. He probably wrote songs sitting up there. And we were just there. How cool is that? We were just there. That's Kurt Cobain's house. And now also, if you'll notice, on his property, right over here where this no trespassing sign is, and you can guarantee, we all know why that's there. There's a little, like, it looks like where a garage might have been at one point, and there's a little rail. And you have to believe, since that's on his property and on his side of the land, he was probably walking down there and standing there and looking out over here. Well, me and this guy are out here. I thought we were going for a walk, but he thought of a little bit better idea. I wanted to thank Jamie Harville for becoming a new Patreon. As always, I completely appreciate everybody that can afford to donate to the Patreon for adventures. And I always have an idea of something I'd like to do, and that just kind of helps facilitate it. Oh, and by the way, I was actually thinking of something today. This is kind of one of those random thoughts that I had, but if anybody is interested in donating a one-time $50 donation, I had this kind of kooky idea of how to cross off one of my bucket list vlogs today. I looked into it, and for about 50 bucks I could get it done. And if anybody wants to do that, let me know. I'll of course do a special pair of sunglasses for that vlog. It's gonna be a full day of filming if I can do it. I mean, I will be able to do it, but I just wanted to give somebody the chance to, if they want to fund that, and if they want that vlog to be like their baby, it will totally be worth it, because like I said, it's one of my bucket listers. So just throwing that out there. I'm actually hoping at some point to do that vlog anyway, obviously, because it's on my bucket list, but I was just kind of like looking around today, because it involves travel. That's why it would be a $50 one, because it involves quite a bit of travel. But it would be really, really good. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys, this was one of my favorite vlogs of all time that I've done. And the reason for that was because, honestly, sometimes I think these things out in my mind, and I know what the vlog's gonna be. And for me, the idea for the vlog was just, I was gonna stand in the middle of the street in front of the high tower and tell you about Raymond Chandler, tell you about, you know, The Long Goodbye, and then mention that Kurt Cobain lived up there. And just something inside me, I don't know why, because everything online said it was like a private place, you couldn't get to it. I mean, they just made it sound impossible, and it did take me an hour's worth of walking around, I'm not gonna lie, but something told me not to give up, and I'm so glad I didn't, because nobody knew. Even when I mentioned to Sam that was there, he didn't know it was that close. He didn't know that. He knew it was up the hill somewhere. Everybody has this idea of where it's at roughly, but nobody has been able to find it. So that was just super cool, and I'm super glad I did it.